Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, Barak Dum. So Turkey, better known as Gomer and all his bands, have entered into Iraq again. We know that they've already entered into Syria and are occupying great places of the areas to block the Syrian Democratic Forces from reinforcing the PKK terrorist group supported by the United Snakes, the whore, Babylon the Great. So they are pretty much run their blockade because PKK is in Iraq as well. So, you know, you got Gomer and all his bands fighting as well, as this war is not going to cease, but rather increase. You know, World War III is ineffable, and like everything else, so Magog is playing its part, you know, and being a guard unto all these countries, including Venezuela, which is why Guaido and, you know, all the false flag narratives being portrayed, you know, as him being the president and all that, is failing from a U.S. invasion, you know, even though they've attempted coups to try to overthrow the legitimate government of Maduro. Magog has been a guard unto them as well. So pretty much almost everything that the U.S. whore tries to do, they're being blockaded. But the least of their flock, Benjamin, not a Jew, Israeli state is drawing them into this war, especially with Persia, Iran. You just had a false flag last week, you know, of a base that had been attacked, which we know that that's a false flag. We know that Iran never carried out that attack on the UAE. I think that's where it is. But nonetheless, though, it's a false flag attack. We know that Persia hasn't had a war since the Iran-Iraq war, you know, which lasted for 8 years, you know, under, you know, the U.S. Arming Saddam Hussein, then using it as a reason to go after him, you know, saying that he had weapons of mass destruction, you know, the invasion of Iraq, you know. Pretty much, though, they were arming Saddam Hussein to weaken Iran, but Iran was 3 times the size of Iraq. You know, and of course, yes, chemical warfare was used in that 8-year war, which were reasons to go after Saddam Hussein for using napalm and other gas, which they still try to say that Bashar al-Assad has. But as everybody has seen, though, the only ones using these things are the terrorists. The terrorist groups supplied by Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and you could say Gomer and all his bands have been supplying these terrorist groups with all these weapons. And most of these are made by the Israeli state and the United States, you know. And so, you know, this men of war are being drawn into this war. The war to end all wars, you know. I was just talking with an Edomite yesterday, you know, being Clark Kent, but yet still being the Superman, you know, being the prophet that I am, you know, singing as this were a new song, even though this is really a song of old. It just seems like a new song because they haven't heard it yet, you know. I'm just like, you know, she's like, well, why are all these places disappearing and running, you know? And I just kind of said, that's because they're getting ready for the war. You know, it just came out, I mean, naturally. I said, war is inevitable, you know, they're getting ready for World War III. You know, it's like, oh, no, please don't tell me that, you know? And then as I went further into it, you know, that, you know, the reason they're downsizing all that is because FEMA and the FEMA troops are ready to take over. And I wanted to mention Carfire, but I didn't. But that's a part where FEMA had taken over the local assistance center, you know, and turned Kmart into a FEMA relocation center. Although they don't use the word relocation, but nonetheless, though, that became the center, you know, where people are being relocated to never be heard from again, you know, if they took the deal. And what Carfire has done, though, is it has displaced many. You know, now they are among the homeless. So what's happened is you got all the dope going on, and they're hiding through the homeless and newly created homeless to where the homeless are getting a bad rap, as if the homeless weren't getting enough bad rap because, of course, the dope dealing and all that, they hide amongst them because they dress and smell the same, right? So they think that it's a problem with the homeless, but really, truly, though, what it is, though, is that tweakers, man, you know, these Edomites, man, they just, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do anyways, but nonetheless, though, the homeless are getting the rap for it. and most of the homeless over here are Edomites, but these newly created ones from the Car Fire, are now there. So it used to be a 30% homeless situation, but now it's just even more and more. You don't have to go very far to find a whole bunch of stuff on the street, and yeah, man, these people, because most of the people that, were so-called victims of the Car Fire used to look down upon them. Well, I hope that they enjoy being homeless too, and this should have been a wake-up call, but it isn't. The hatred towards the homeless has gotten worse and worse. Nonetheless, though, I was just telling her, though, that, yeah, man, World War III is ineffable. They're already putting chips into people and getting ready for the Third World War. It's ineffable, and then we talked about the wall, and that, yeah, the walls to keep people in. That healthcare in this country sucks, and that people are leaving this country and going into Mexico to get better healthcare and better dental care because they can't afford it here. So the walls really keep people within. All that is distraction news. That's not the real reason why Donald J. Trump, and I actually wanted to say, he wears the Ronald McDonald suit, because that's what he is, the puppet that they set up. Nonetheless, though, man, she was freaking out, man, about World War III, but then she admitted that, yes, her husband talks about this stuff all the time. So yeah, even these Edomites know that their time is short, but it's going to get a lot more harsh out here. It's going to be a lot more tough, So what do we do, in this time of war, the time of Jacob's trouble that's just right around the corner? Well, Paul the Apostle, who I believe is here today among us, he wrote this in Ephesians chapter 5, starting in verse 1. Be ye therefore followers of Yahweh as dear children, and walk in love as Yahushua hath loved us, and hath given himself for an offering and a sacrifice to Yahweh for a sweet-smelling Savior, and that's just it. Yahushua sacrificed of himself so that we could share and abide in his love for each other, and that's a love amongst the brethren, amongst those that get it, which we may seem like small in number, but we are that great army being raised up, that house of David. But fornication and all uncleanness and covetousness, let I not be once named among you as become saints. So pretty much, man, we put away all that filthy lucre that we once had, and we come into this truth. All those things. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not covenant, but rather giving of thanks. And that's what we do. That's why we always say at the very beginning, before we even get into the lesson, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Because if it wasn't for them, man, we wouldn't be standing on for 2 feet coming out here and teaching, We wouldn't even have this staff, But this staff, better known as the stick of Joseph, is pretty much the 12 tribes, We 12 tribes were coming together. There's no more division. For this that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous this man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance for the kingdom of Yahushua and of Yahweh. So again, we're not going to let filthy lookers in there, which is why, there's not going to be any new members in Great Millstone, because, no, man, there's been too many bug outs already. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of Yahweh upon the children of disobedience. And that's why 2/3 of our people are going to be cut off in this third woe that's coming quickly. It's right around the corner. World War III is ineffable. Gomer and all of his bands are in this war. Libya, all of them, with shield and helmet. Roughly paraphrasing Ezekiel 38. You can see all that into play. And yes, even the Ethiopians, which is better known as Sudan, Darfur, you heard about all that, things going on there. There's wars everywhere. But you not therefore partaker with them, for you were sometimes darkness, but now you are the children in the light. You are the light in the world. Walk as children in the light. And that's what we do when we come out. We put our garments on, we come out here and we teach. And for all those that are just following just the law, kind of funny though, because you know, putting your garments on doesn't necessarily mean the physical garments, but yes, we do that when we come out here and teach. But man, putting on the full armor, as Paul goes into in other chapters of this. For the fruit of the Spirit in all goodness and righteousness and in truth, you know? So, you know, we're putting all those things on. And that's what putting on the garments really is putting on all those things, you know? Putting on the fullness of Yahushua HaMashiach. Praying what is acceptable unto the Most High. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. And that's just it, though, is that we reprove those things, you know. And 2/3, man, they can't be reproved. Their pride is so high that they've been given over to a reprobate. And once they become a reprobate, man, they don't come back from that. Now, I have to say all the examples given in these scriptures, you don't come back from being a reprobate, you know. Once you've been given over to that, you're done, you know. You may as well just go ahead and get your judgment, you know. So, like everything else, though, you know, we can see these things befalling us, you know. As this place is getting smaller and smaller, you know, the mirth is decreasing, you know, and if you hadn't noticed, though, that they've also been showing Jake as like one of those unicycles, you know, they're trying to, you know, show Jake, because they're the ones that are driving Uber, man, because we're smart, you know, we're the ones that are taking the jobs that these Edomites don't want, and now these Edomites have even created a newer symptom, I mean, burnouts have always been around, but that's their now actual medical excuse to not have to work. Well, the reason why Esau is burned out is because he sees his end, you know, and now, you know, even more excuses not to work, and that's why the birth of this place is no more, man. You know, they're sick and tired of, you know, let's face it, man, you know, the strength of this place, it's no longer there. The attitude, no longer there, man. People don't want to work anymore. People don't want to do anything anymore. They feel the depression. They don't even really want to serve in the military. They're kind of forced into that. But man, you know, even the enthusiasm of, yeah, let's make America great again. I don't see a lot of people doing that, even though the TV is going to give you an illusion that, yeah, make America great again. Man, you just go around your streets or your city and say, yeah, man, do you really think that America is great again? You think... And I'm talking about the Edomites, man. They ain't feeling that. And most definitely, though, we see right through that, because we know the whole American dream has been bullshit. We don't want this place to be great again. We are enjoying to see it as fall. So I hope all this has been edifying. And until next time, Rock of the Yahweh, Rock of the Yahweh Shai, Ashur Rakal Kadash, Rock of Dunk. Death to America, and death to you 2/3. We're almost out of here.